Franklin has finally released their full lineup of their C45 paddles. Out now are their new editions of the Dynasty and Tempo shapes. All of their pros have finally made the switch to the new C45, and for good reason. But before we jump into the review, these videos do take a good amount of time and effort, and it would be greatly appreciated if you could hit the subscribe button down below, as it helps support the growth of my channel. Lastly, Franklin did provide these paddles to me, but no review is promised, no money exchanged hands, and all thoughts are my own. With that out of the way, let's jump into some specs. The C45 is now offered in 3 shapes: the hybrid, which released in March, and the newly added Elongated, which is their Dynasty, and wide body shapes, which is their Tempo. These paddles are offered in 2 thicknesses, 14mm and 16mm. I would classify the 14mm versions as a low-end power paddle and the 16mm options as high-end all-court paddles. The C45s are of Gen 3 construction with a dual foam edge wall around the perimeter. The Dynasty comes in with a 5.5-inch handle, while the Tempo has a 5-inch handle. The surface type is a 3-layer unidirectional carbon fiber, with 2 layers being placed at a 45-degree angle and the middle layer at 0 degrees, hence the name C45. All of these paddles are dual certified with the USAP and the UPAA stamp of approval. The Dynasty 14mm has a swing weight of 116 with a twist weight of 6. The Dynasty 16mm has a swing weight of 114 and a twist weight of 5.8. The Tempo 14mm has a swing weight of 103 with a twist weight of 6.5, and the Tempo 16mm has a swing weight of 103 and a twist weight of 6.4. The retail price of this paddle is $229, but with code JJPB, you can save 10% at checkout on Franklin's website. I also have included my affiliate link to Pickleball Central down in the description, which also gives you the same discount plus Pickleball Central's benefits. While playtesting these new C45s, I was very happy to see that the new Tempo and Dynasty shapes are much easier to use stock than the previously released hybrid shape that I reviewed back in March, where the swing weight on the hybrid shape stock was my biggest complaint. I did still end up adding around 3 grams to each side of the paddle, but majority of my playtesting with these paddles was stock. These paddles have a great feel with solid dwell time, which just really helps with my touch and my shot shapes. The sweet spot is plenty good stock and even better with some additional perimeter weighting. My spin test came back around just over 2,000 RPMs, which is right in line for good spin in today's paddle market. I noticed that the 14mm did have a bit more power than the 16mm versions. This is not typical for Gen 3 paddles, as often the added dwell time on Gen 3 paddles favor thicker versions, providing more power. The easiest way to visualize this is thinking of a diving board or a trampoline. The more that you are able to push energy down, the higher and faster that energy is returned. However, with these new C45s, they go the way of Gen 2 paddles, where the thinner paddle is the more powerful and poppy option. The Dynasty's 5.5-inch handle makes two-handed backhands feel super natural, while my biggest complaint with the Tempo is the 5-inch handle. I think the Tempo's sweet spot is phenomenal and the playability is great, but I personally found it so hard to use with the short handle. I hope Franklin goes the way of Paddle Tech, where they eventually came out with a longer handle version at 5.25 of the ALWC, but time will have to tell on that. I seriously love the Franklin C45s. The hybrid model, which has been out for a few months, was a quick favorite of mine with a weight adjustment. But the Elongated is the big winner for me. The Dynasty comes in at a much more reasonable lightweight stock, and the paddle just does everything I want it to. The Tempo is a great paddle, but unless you just really enjoy short handles, I feel a lot of players will have issues with their two-handed backhands. To summarize, the Dynasty versions of the C45 are the best option for power. The Tempo is the best version for control, and the hybrid shape is the best for something in the middle. My personal favorite was the 14mm Dynasty. It just really gives me solid power and feel, and will likely be in my paddle rotation going forward, as it's one of my favorite paddles to be released so far this year. If you plan on getting the new C45, I would love to hear if you have hit a Franklin paddle before, and if you have any questions for me, I would love to read those down below in the comments. Other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.